ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Yes, continuation to the last class. In central nervous system, two portions are present. One is the brain, second one is the spinal cord. So of them, first one is the brain. This is also called as encephalon, or this is also called as living supercomputer. Again, this is also called as headquarter of nervous system. Again, this is also called as the command and control organ. So means brain which is present in our body, that is simply called as the encephalon, or the living supercomputer, or the headquarters of nervous system. Again, definitely this brain is protected in cranium. Definitely around to the brain, whatever the protective box which is present, that is said to be as the cranium. In addition to cranium, other three membranes also provide the protection to the brain. Such membranes are said to be as the meninges, layers. Whatever the layers which may be provide the protection to the brain, whatever the protective membranes which are present around to the brain to provide the protection, they are said to be as the meninges layers. Specifically meninges layers, if they are present around to the brain, they are said to be as the cranial meninges. Otherwise, around to the spinal cord, if they are present, then they are said to be as the spinal meninges. So protective membranes which are present around to the brain are said to be as the cranial meninges. Protective membranes which are present around to the spinal cord, they are said to be as the spinal meninges. Definitely, whatever the cranial meninges which are present, cranial meninges are of three. So definitely around to the brain, to provide the protection, three cranial meninges are present. Of that, outermost cranial meninges layer, which is present, which is with the double layer, that layer is said to be as the dura mater. Outermost meninges layer which is present, which is with the two membranes, this outermost layer is said to be as the dura mater. This is said to be as the dura mater. This is very thick. This is very thick. This is with the double layers. Two layers are present in the case of the dura mater. Again it is with fibrous connective tissue. So that only it is very thick. Because of due to the presence of the fibrous connective tissue, this dura mater is very thick in nature. Definitely dura mater is attaches to inner surface of the cranial cavity. Just assume this around to this kind of the dura mater, around to this dura mater, definitely cranium is present. This is said to be as the cranium. This is the cranium. Means definitely this dura mater is attaches to inner surface of the cranial cavity. That must be attaches to the inner surface of the cranial cavity. Just assume this is the inner surface of the cranial cavity. This is the dura mater like this. This dura mater is attaches to the inner surface of the cranial cavity. So below to that, whatever the webby membrane which is present, below to that whatever the webby membrane which is present like this webby membrane is said to be as the arachnoid. Arachnoid is the middle layer, middle meningeus layer. This is thin in nature. It is webby. Webby means definitely that is with folding. That is with the folding. That is said to be as the webby. That is the webby membrane. Below to that, very thin layer which is present, which is closely attaches to the surface of the brain. That very thin membrane is said to be as the pia mater. This is said to be as the pia mater. Definitely innermost meningeus layer which is present, which is attaches to brain, which is attaches to the brain. That innermost layer is said to be as the pia mater. This is also thin in nature. This is also thin. It is the innermost. In that way, around to the brain, specifically bony box which is present, that is said to be as the cranium. Below to the cranium, whatever the double layered thick membrane which is present, that is said to be as the dura mater. This is very thick in nature. This is with the two layers. It is principally made up of with the connective tissue. It is attaches to the inner surface of the cranium. Below to that, whatever the layer which is present, that is said to be as the arachnoid. This arachnoid is also very thin. This is with the webby nature. Webby means it is with the folding. Below to that, whatever the thinnest layer which is present, which is attaches to the surface of the brain, that is said to be as the pia mater. Again, between the dura mater and arachnoid, whatever the space which is present, that space is said to be as the subdural space. Just assume this is the dura mater, this is the arachnoid. Between these two, whatever the space which is present, that space is said to be as the subdural space. Between the dura mater and arachnoid, whatever the space is present, that is said to be as the subdural space. This subdural space is filled with a specific fluid. That fluid is said to be as the extracellular fluid, that is the ECF. Definitely in the case of the subdural space, ECF, that is the extracellular fluid, is present. Extracellular fluid is present in the case of the subdural space. Similarly, between the arachnoid and pia mater, between the pia mater and arachnoid, whatever the space which is present, this space is said to be as the subarachnoid. Subarachnoid space, specifically between the pia mater and arachnoid. This is the pia mater, this is the arachnoid. This is the space which is present between the pia mater and arachnoid. This space is said to be as the subarachnoid space. Definitely in the subarachnoid space, fluid which is present, this fluid is said to be as the cerebrospinal fluid. Definitely fluid which is present in the case of the subarachnoid space, that fluid is said to be as the cerebrospinal fluid, that is approximately 150 ml in volume. Definitely cerebrospinal fluid amount is only 150 ml. Instead of 150 ml, if this cerebrospinal fluid is secreted in over quantity, instead of 150 ml of CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, definitely cerebrospinal fluid amount is 150 ml. Where cerebrospinal fluid is present means in subarachnoid space. 150 ml of the cerebrospinal fluid is present. If it is secreted in greater 150 ml, that condition is said to be as the hydrocephalus. Definitely due to the increased cerebrospinal fluid volume, brain shows the swelling. That kind of the disease is said to be as the hydrocephalus. Again, from where this cerebrospinal fluid is gets secreted means, from where this cerebrospinal fluid is gets secreted means, cerebrospinal fluid is secreted from choroid plexus. Definitely choroid plexus which are present in the brain secrete cerebrospinal fluid. Then what are the choroid plexus means? In the case of the brain, specifically in the case of the forebrain and hind brain, this choroid plexus are present. Then what is the choroid plexus means? Just assume this is the cerebrum. Again, this is said to be as the diencephalon. This is said to be as the diencephalon. So definitely this is the cerebrum, this is the diencephalon. These are the parts of the forebrain. In the diencephalon, whatever the cavity which is present, that is said to be as the third ventricle. In the case of the diencephalon, whatever the cavity which is present, that is said to be as the third ventricle or diastole. That is said to be as the diastole. Definitely in the case of the third ventricle, this is the floor, this is the roof. This is said to be as the roof, this is the floor in the third ventricle. On the roof of third ventricle, whatever the blood capillary network which is present, whatever the blood capillary network is present in the roof of the third ventricle, in which neurons are absent, that kind of the blood capillary network is said to be as anterior choroid plexus. This is said to be as the anterior choroid plexus. This is useful for the secretion of the cerebrospinal fluid. Means on the roof of the third ventricle, blood capillary network which is present, which is without neuron, such blood capillary network is said to be as the anterior choroid plexus. Similarly, when we observe the hind brain, just assume this is the midbrain, this is the pons varolii, this is the medulla oblongata. This is said to be as the medulla. This is the medulla. In the case of the medulla, this is the midbrain. This is the midbrain. This is the pons varolii or pons. This is said to be as the medulla. In the case of the medulla also, cavity which is present, this cavity is said to be as the fourth ventricle or metastele or myelocele. This is the metastele or myelocele. In the medulla oblongata, whatever the cavity which is present, that is said to be as the fourth ventricle or the metastele or the myelocele. In the fourth ventricle, this is said to be as the roof, this is also floor. Definitely in the case of the fourth ventricle also, this is the roof, this is the floor. On the roof of fourth ventricle also, blood capillary network which is present, which is without a neuron, that blood capillary network is said to be as the posterior choroid plexus. This is said to be as the posterior choroid plexus. On the roof of the third ventricle, whatever the blood capillary network which is present, that is said to be as the anterior choroid plexus. On the roof of the fourth ventricle also, whatever the blood capillary network which is present, which is without a neuron, that is said to be as the posterior choroid plexus. Definitely anterior choroid plexus and posterior choroid plexus, both of them are useful to secrete cerebrospinal fluid. Anterior choroid plexus as well as the posterior choroid plexus, both of them principally useful to secrete the cerebrospinal fluid. Definitely in one day, how many times this cerebrospinal fluid secretion is taken place from the anterior and posterior choroid plexus means for about 4 times in a day, this cerebrospinal fluid gets recycled. Means whatever the older cerebrospinal fluid which is present, that is passes into blood, and fresh cerebrospinal fluid is secreted from the anterior and posterior choroid plexus. Means in one day for about 4 times this cerebrospinal fluid formation is taken place. Means definitely 4 times in a day cerebrospinal fluid gets recycled. Cerebrospinal fluid recycling is taken place for about 4 times in a day. In that way, definitely in the subarachnoid space, 150 ml of the cerebrospinal fluid is present. Next, what are the structures which are present in the case of the forebrain? What are the parts of the brain? Definitely in the case of the brain of the person, 3 distinct regions are present. Of that, one is the forebrain or prosencephalon. In the brain of the person, 3 distinct regions are present: forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Of that, first one is said to be as the forebrain or the prosencephalon. Again, in the case of the forebrain, what are the portions which are present means just assume. This is the cerebrum. This is the cerebrum. Again, this is said to be as the diencephalon. So definitely in the case of the forebrain, as per NCERT concept, what are the parts which are present means this is the cerebrum, this is the diencephalon. Again in the diencephalon, this is said to be as the epithalamus. This is said to be as the epithalamus, means the roof of the diencephalon is said to be as the epithalamus. Floor is said to be as the hypothalamus. Again, lateral walls are said to be as the thalamus. Lateral walls are said to be as the thalamus. Roof is the epithalamus. Lateral walls are thalamus. Floor is the hypothalamus. These 3 together constitute diencephalon. These 3 together constitute the diencephalon. Again, means cerebrum, this diencephalon together constitute the forebrain or the prosencephalon. As per NCERT concept, what are the parts of the forebrain? Means cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus together constitute the forebrain. So definitely in the case of the forebrain, first part, that is the cerebrum. This cerebrum is the largest part of brain. This is the largest part of the brain. During the embryonic development, though cerebrum is look like as the single, but as the development is proceed, this cerebrum gets divided into 2 equal halves. Definitely this cerebrum also gets divided into two equal halves by a longitudinal fissure that is said to be as the median fissure. This is called as the median fissure. As the development is proceed, this cerebrum gets divided into two equal two equal parts, two equal right and left cerebral hemispheres by a median fissure, by a septum that is said to be as the median fissure. Definitely in the case of the cerebrum, this is said to be as the right cerebral hemisphere, that is the right side of the half of the cerebral hemisphere. This is said to be as the left cerebral hemisphere. Definitely, though during the embryonic development, cerebrum is developed as the single, but as the development is proceeds towards the end, this cerebrum gets divided into two equal left and right cerebral hemispheres by a septum that is said to be as the median fissure. Again, both sides of the cerebral hemispheres are connected with each other by transverse nerve band. Both sides of the cerebral hemispheres are connected with each other by transverse nerve band. This is said to be as the corpus callosum or callosal commissure. Callosal commissure or corpus callosum. What is the use of the corpus callosum means? It always achieves coordination between the two sides of the cerebral hemispheres. It always useful to achieve the coordination between the two sides of the cerebral hemisphere. Definitely in the case of the corpus callosum, what are the axons which are present means myelinated axons are present in corpus callosum. Myelinated axon bundles are present in the corpus callosum. Again, this each and every cerebral hemisphere gets differentiated into two portions. Each and every side of the cerebral hemisphere is later differentiated into two distinct portions. Outer portion is said to be as the cerebral cortex. Outer portion is said to be as the cerebral cortex. Inner portion is said to be as the cerebral medulla. Definitely in the case of the each and every side of the cerebral hemisphere, outer portion which is present, which is look like as grey in color, that is said to be as the cerebral cortex. Inner part which is present, which is white in color, that is said to be as the cerebral medulla. So definitely in the case of the cerebral cortex, what is the matter which is present means grey matter is present. In the case of the cerebral cortex, whatever the matter which is present, that is said to be as the gray matter. Just assume this is the cerebral cortex, gray matter is present. Then in the gray matter, what are the structures which are present means? Cytons, dendrites, unmyelinated axons are present in the case of the gray matter. In cerebral cortex specifically, gray matter is present, that is rich with cyton, dendrite, unmyelinated axons. Definitely in the cyton, micelle granules are present. In the dendrites also micelle granules are present. That micelle granules principally provide the gray color to that kind of the gray matter. Micelle granule which are present in cytons and dendrite, they provide the gray color to that kind of the gray matter. Due to that reason, cerebral cortex is gray in color. In the case of the cerebral medulla, white matter is present. Again, white matter is rich with myelinated axons. Because in the myelinated axon, myelin sheath is present. Myelin sheath is rich with fat, that is white in color. So that only this myelin sheath provide the white color to that kind of the matter. So that only that is said to be as the white matter. Means cerebral medulla is inner part, that is rich with myelinated axon. Due to that reason, this is white in color. So that only that matter is said to be as the white matter. Again, this surface of cerebral cortex is very thick in nature. Outer surface of the cerebral cortex is very thick in nature. That is said to be as the neopolium. Outer surface of the cerebral cortex is very thick in nature. That thick outer surface of the cerebral cortex is said to be as the neopolium. Surface of the neopolium shows elevations and depressions. Surface of that neopolium shows the elevations and depression. That elevations and depressions are said to be as the sulci and gyri, like that. Definitely neopolium shows the elevations and depression. These elevations are said to be as the gyri. Elevation is said to be as the gyri. Depression is said to be as the sulci. This depression is said to be as the sulci. Deeper depression like this. Deeper depression which is present, that is said to be as the fissure. Deeper depression is said to be as the fissure. In that way, on the surface of the neopolium, elevations and depressions are present. Elevation is said to be as the gyri or gyrus. Depression is said to be as this is the depression, this is the depression, this is the depression, this is the depression. This is the depression, this is the depression, this is the depression, like that. These are the depressions. The depressions are said to be as the sulci. Deeper depression, if this kind of the depression is too far deeper, that is said to be as the fissure. Then what is the use of this sulci and gyri means? Whenever this sulci and gyres are unfolded, whenever sulci and gyres are unfolded, they provide the large surface area for accommodation of more and more number of the neuron. Definitely in the cerebral cortex alone, 10 billions of neurons are accommodated. Specifically in the case of the cerebral cortex, in cerebral cortex, 10 billions of neurons are accommodated only in the cerebral cortex. Generally in the brain, about 100 billions of the neurons are present. Of them, 10% of the neurons means 10 billions of the neurons are accommodated only in cerebral cortex. Means definitely to accommodate such more and more number of the neuron, this sulci and gyrus must be gets unfolded. Due to that, this surface area is greatly increases. Due to that, this 10 billions of the neurons are gets accommodated. Means what I am saying here, that this sulci and gyri, whenever they may be unfolded, then surface area is increases to accommodate 10 billions of the neurons only in cerebral cortex. Again, when we observe the cerebral hemisphere, definitely in each and every cerebral hemisphere, 4 lobes are present. In the case of each and every cerebral hemisphere, 4 lobes are present like this. In the case of each and every cerebral hemisphere, 4 lobes are present. This lobe is said to be as the frontal lobe. This is said to be as the parietal lobe. Again, this side lobe is said to be as the temporal lobe. This is said to be as the occipital lobe. Definitely in each and every side of the cerebral hemisphere, 4 lobes are very commonly present. Here also, in this side also, definitely 4 lobes are present. Of that, first lobe is said to be as the frontal lobe, next lobe is said to be as the parietal lobe, next lobe is said to be as the temporal lobe, next lobe is said to be as the occipital lobe. So, in this 4 lobes also, common centers which are present, means in each and every lobe also, commonly 3 type of the centers are present. What are the 3 type of the centers which are present in each and every lobe means? In this all 4 lobes also commonly 3 type of the centers are present. One is said to be as the sensory center. Second one is the motor center. One is the sensory center, one is the sensory center, second one is the motor center, third one is the association center. Definitely, sensory center, motor center, association centers are present in all these four lobes. In frontal lobe, these three centers are present. In parietal lobe also these three centers are present. In temporal lobe also these three centers are present. In occipital lobe also these three type of the centers are commonly present. Then what is the use of these three centers? First center which is present, that is the sensory center. What is the use of this sensory center? It always receives sensory information from the various parts of the body and analyze that sensory information. For processing of the sensory information, sensory center is principally useful. For analysis of the collected sensory information from the various parts of the body, this sensory center principally useful. Definitely these three centers are present in frontal lobe, in parietal lobe, in temporal lobe, in occipital lobe also. In addition to the specific centers, commonly in all four type of the lobes, three type of the centers must be present. Of that sensory center always useful to analyze sensory information which is collected from the various parts of the body. Second, motor center. Motor center principally useful for regulation of voluntary muscle movement. For regulation of the voluntary muscle movement, this kind of the motor center principally useful. Definitely for regulation of the voluntary muscle movement, whatever the movements which may be caused by the willing of the person, whatever the movements in our body which may be with our willing, such movements are said to be as the voluntary muscle movement. That voluntary muscle movements are under the control of the motor centers.